truth?
Oh, I'm all ears.
Okay. The truth.
I always tell the truth, even when I lie.
Why do you find it so hard to believe?
Why do you find it so easy?
It's never been easy.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth.
All I'm offering is the truth. Nothing more.
Hello, podcast land. Welcome to Truthful Talk. We are back with you today. I'm Marco, and I'm here with Natalie, and we are here to bring you through another exciting episode of whatever the hell we figure out to talk about.
Whatever. Absolutely.
So, welcome back, and thanks for tuning in once again. And today, I think, well, first of all, we're in our new studio, which we mentioned last time, and we were doing audio only. Today, we are back on video as well. Mm-hmm. So if you're used to just listening to us on audio, wherever you listen to the podcast on, if you want to see the video version, you can go to our YouTube channel, and we have a podcast playlist there, and you can watch us do what we do when we do these podcasts, in case you're ever wondering what we look like doing this.
Options.
Options.
Give options to the people.
So you have options.
Yes.
Audio is anywhere you listen to podcasts, but the video is on YouTube, so you can tune in there. Yay! Cool, right?
Super cool.
I think so. Well, today, the topic that we've had, we get a lot of questions on this, and this is one that was submitted into us, and we thought, well, this is a really good thing to talk about, is how to keep yourself safe navigating the industry. What are the red flags to look for? What are some scams to look for? And how to navigate the safety, especially when you're just starting out or, in the lower rungs of the industry, just really anywhere. Because this is an industry that is based in hopes and dreams and passions. And there are a lot of people that will look to take advantage of those hopes and dreams and passions. So, Nat, have you ever run into a scam or anything like that in this industry?
Yes. I wish I remembered what they were called, but it was some kind of beauty pageant or something like that. And I was always fascinated by it, but like the Miss Universe, the Miss World, things that were they were the legitimate ones. Even God only knows what they had to go through. But they have so many like different scams that are out there. Like you too can be Miss Puerto Rico or Miss Venezuela or whatever. And you go in and you realize like, oh, this seems a bit seedy to me. Why is this facility that we're going to rehearse in the middle of a little bit dicey, a little bit scary. And you go in and things are falling apart. There's a lot of things that there's warning, red flags start flying.
Yes.
Like, this isn't right. And then lo and behold, they start saying, well, if you'd like to compete, here's the sign-up sheet, and this is what you need to do. So I happily turned away, walked away, and was able to, but
that's
dangerous.
good for you that you actually knew enough to walk away.
I had a conversation with the man. I said, I need to talk to you. And he was like, okay. And, he had, I think, like 48 girls waiting in the lobby. And it was between like me and him and his secretary. And I had a nice conversation with him about what he was doing and how these girls were, Anyways, it was just one of these things. I wasn't going to do it. But it was red flags that stood out. And when I realized that it was unsafe, number one, my instincts felt, my spidey senses were like, this is not it. And you don't want to believe that. You want to believe that this is it. And then when he asked for money, as much as he was as well, for everything. Anyways, yeah. But.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because we want to believe that everyone in the industry is nice and is going to help you and is going to be supportive. And while there is a lot of that among the artists themselves, it's still an industry that's easy to prey upon. And because it's easy to scam someone when they have a deep desire to get somewhere and you're like, oh, I can get you there quicker. all you need to do is give me $3,000 and I can get you there quicker.
Yes.
And it's amazing how that happens. So I think one of the big things is money. If anyone asks you for money up front, that is the first red flag, because there's really nowhere in this industry, I mean, unless you're paying for something. I mean, obviously, if you're paying for a class, you need to give money up front. If you're paying for headshots, you need to give money. But a lot of these shows, or whatever they are, they ask for money up front, or agencies which might say, oh, I want to represent you and I can get you into big auditions, but you need to pay me money up front. That's not how the industry works. This is an industry that is based in percentages, which is, as an actor, if my agent signs me, I'm not giving them anything. But when I book something, they take a percentage of what I book, anywhere between 10 and 20%, depending on what the project is and unions and so forth. So, and that's, it's a really good deal. I mean, because your agent is doing a lot of work for you up front, and they're not getting paid a dime unless you book something. So that's how it works, but you don't give anything up front. But there are scam agencies that will say, listen, I want to sign you. You don't have to pay me anything up front, but I need you to get new headshots, and I need you to use my headshot photographer, which is going to cost you $1,500. And that's the other scam, is this side scam.
And it's so close to what is legitimate. No, because if you do have an agent and they are reputable and they say, hey, Nat, do you have any more lifestyle shoots or look like shots? Right. And I'll say, oh, no, it's been like 2 years. And like, well, could you go get those? And say, here's a list of people that we recommend. So it is a
and that's
slippery slope, but it's, you would think that initially that's normal. Like, it's so close.
You would think it's normal.
So what's legitimate? Yeah.
Yeah. And because, your agent could say, listen, your headshot's out of date. I need you to get a new one. But here is a list. Like you said, here's a list of who you can go to. And then at least as the actor, you can do some research and figure out who to go to. It's when they're steering you to one person specifically that it's a scam.
Right. And then for the cost of it being even more so than what is the going rate, I guess, which is also maybe doing homework.
It's usually 3-4 times the price of that.
Yeah.
And they'll say, well, this is an LA headshot photographer or a New York headshot photographer. So they'll upsell it. But, they'll say, oh, well, I want to submit you to New York, but I can't unless you use this photographer.
Yeah.
And that's the scam.
That's the scam. And there it is.
And they're not going to submit you for anything. Or if they do, they're going to submit you to the same things that any agent can. So it's something that we have to start learning to look out for. So money up front is a big one.
Number one.
Nobody is going to make you famous because you're giving them money. It just doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
And there are big organizations, and I'm hesitant to say, I don't want to cause anything, but they're ones and they're big organizations, the worldwide. And let's see, one is JC, one is JRP. So you can figure out what those are. One that was here locally to us in Orlando 10, 15 years ago was an agency that Lou Pearlman,
oh my goodness,
when he was alive, was part of. I mean, he was a big scammer in music and acting and everything else. And he, every 2 years, he would create a new company that had a similar name. But basically, he would ride it for 2 years, bankrupt the company, and then create a new one. And it was the same scam. It was called like Talent Rocks, Power Rocks, Talent something. I mean, it was all sorts of like different cool names. And what he would do is he would have a weekend event. And as talent, you would be, quote unquote, selected. So there was mass advertising, right? I mean, a lot of money went into advertising this. And as an actor, you would look into it. And they would get you on a phone, and it's almost like selling timeshare. I mean, it was very hard sell. And so they get you on the phone and say, well, look, we do have this event, And it sounds, I mean, everything about you sounds really good. And I think my producer is going to really like you. And you think you should attend because we're going to have agencies there. We're going to have talent scouts there. Or, it's a huge event. You want to be part of this because you might be discovered by one of these. And you're going to have the opportunity to perform in front of all of these agencies from around the country. So it's a big deal. And they sell it really, really going right at your heart. And they're like, but you need to, we only have a couple spots remaining. And so I need you to sign up today. I'm going to make an exception for you. And then they'll put you on hold and they'll go talk to their quote unquote producer and come back and says, listen, my producer says it's okay if I make an exception for you, but I need you to take it now. It's only $1,500. Non-refundable, not anything.
Cash.
And
kidding, yeah.
and they hold it at a huge hotel, like at a Marriott or a Sheraton or like something with a big convention center, and they'll hold it at a huge hotel, and you spend all this money. And I remember when there used to be in town, I mean there was a couple thousand people.
Wow.
That would show up for this from all over the country, all over the world, I'm assuming, but they would show up to this event, and it feels like a convention. You go the day one, you check in, and you're supposed to stay there too. So you can get a room. Room and board is additional, of course.
Of course.
But they want you to stay on site. You don't have to if you're local, but that's the whole thing too. So they have a whole package for that. It's you, $1,500 for you if you want to bring a guest. So like people who are traveling in, it's like, well, it's for my kid. I'm the parent. Well, the parent can come too. But it's $750 for the parent who's not participating at all, but they're accompanying the other person.
And people would pay this.
Oh my, thousands of people would pay this. And you go in and what they, as far as are there agents there? Yes and no. Meaning, yes, there's agents there. No, there's no one actually looking for talent. Agents are hired. Typically, local agents, people in the area are hired to come in and sit there and give a speech about, I don't know, what they do. Schools are there trying to recruit people to come into their it's kind of like one of those things. It's like when you would be coming out of high school, going into college, and they would have a college fair. That's kind of what it's like. So you can go around, it's like a big convention floor in one of the rooms, and you're handing out information or collecting information. That's really all it was. And then they would have different categories. They would have singing, modeling, acting. I think that might be it. But there was a couple different categories, and you can sign up for whatever category you wanted to do. They would give you, for example, a monologue as an actor. And then at some point, you would be called into a room, a huge cattle call.
Right.
And in front of a group of people, you could then perform your monologue. And these were quote unquote talent scouts. Now, here's the interesting thing is we've had students work for some of these events. Are they really talent scouts? No. Someone comes up to you and says, hey, Natalie, can you be a talent scout for us for our next event? You're just going to have to evaluate and put on a form and
Sure. Right. And I have no connection with anybody who can do anything.
Right. You're not actually the talent scout.
No.
Anyway, and this is a whole huge thing. And then at the end of the event, it's a 3-day thing. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. At the end of Sunday, they put on this huge party. Basically, it's in the ballroom, and then they hand out awards and they probably dump $1 million into this event. It's huge, and it makes you feel like you're at something big. But they're also making millions of dollars. And it's amazing. And it's a scam. You're not getting famous off it. Now, these big companies that do this, and the same thing with Lou Pearlman, who, when he was running this, the companies that do this, when you sign up for it, not only are you spending $1,500 or whatever it is, but you sign a contract. The contract says that for the rest of their life, the company's life, and the rest of your life, I mean, any time in the future, they can use your name, photo, likeness to promote their product. Now, before you're famous or before you're actually working in the industry or know what it's about, you're like, well, sure, of course. If I make it, yeah, promote me. And then you realize that part of what got you in there is like, wait a minute, Lindsay Lohan was promoted in this. And it's like, well, yeah, because she got sucked into it at one time too, where it's like, oh my God, Matthew McConaughey. And it's like, well, yeah, because when he was really young, he got sucked into it.
He did it. He
as
was
well.
part of it or
It
something.
it didn't make him famous. It didn't even help him get famous,
Sure.
but they can say that.
Yeah. That's so sad.
And so we have to be really careful because that's a big selling point.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, look at these famous actors who went through this program. And we make the connection that they're famous because they went through the program.
Right. You do. Subconsciously,
It's
you
a
do.
very, right. We always think, right. It's after this, therefore, because of this. We think that, oh, they went through this. Now they're famous. Therefore, one had something to do with the other when one didn't.
And it's legitimate because they did, and look where they are now.
And these quote unquote scams are semi-legitimate because they're not lying to you. They're just not telling you the whole truth. They still do bring in enough of local agents and maybe a casting director they'll hire to come in who's just really coming in for a payday. They're going to pay this casting director to be there for the day. And, casting directors need money too. So they're like, sure, I'll come in for the day. They'll bring in experts. I've been approached before where it's like, hey, can you come in and teach, one of the breakout rooms? And it's like, no, I'm not. I don't want my name attached to that.
Right.
And so, but they'll go around and find local acting classes and get the instructors and pay them a decent rate to come in for a day to teach a class that they're selling as part of their thing. And so we need to be really, really careful. I promise you, these big agencies, yeah.
So what do you do when, let's say, you don't know how to go about becoming an actor? Where would you guide someone to go first and foremost? Because I even have friends who went down other rabbit holes. They did modeling. That was a scam. Did pageantry, but like the small, tiny ones or whatever, which is another kind of
Poor
scam.
models. I feel bad for the modeling industry because they really do prey on
They do.
on these people, and it's horrible.
But like you have to know that at least some kind of a reputable teaching school, but they're so close in that. So how do you go about that? How do you do your research? What would you tell somebody who's like, I want to be an actor, but I don't know where to start and I don't want to get scammed?
Yeah, that's a really difficult one. Luckily today it's a little easier than it was when I came up through the thing. I mean, I remember, Rob, for those of you who don't know, we have a studio called Truthful Acting Studios, and my partner in teaching there for 15 years now is Rob Moss. And Rob and I have been friends for a very long time. And so we've talked about this even predating Truthful Acting. And because we were both caught up in scams when we first started. And it's one of those things. It's like, well, how do you navigate it? When we came up, which is, I hate to say pre-internet, it makes me sound too old. But but when we came up and we didn't have the resources, what we ended up doing is we ended up paying. So there would be different things in the area, different classes that would be like, okay, you want to get started in the industry? We have a seminar, and it's $50 or $75, which was the pricing back then. And you would go, and for 3 hours, they would talk about the industry. And you'd have to go to like several of them to see if you can, pick apart all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons Rob and I started teaching is we said that was one of the biggest things is we never wanted students to have, like when you're first starting out, to have to pay money to find out information. And so just from the very beginning, we would do free seminars. Now we do something called open houses. I do free online webinars from time to time. We do these podcasts. If you go to our YouTube channel, we have just tons and tons and tons of free information. And nowadays, I would say just go online and research as much as you can.
Yeah.
And you need to get into an acting class. That's number one. You have to do that. But don't get into a class based on its name. Meaning, you don't go to a school just because they attach a name to it. So some schools do that, or they'll say they teach a certain process. That's not important. What's important is go to the school, meet the instructors, and figure out if there's somebody you can trust. And if
give 'em a
there's someone,
chance.
if there's someone you feel comfortable with, you have to feel comfortable. If you don't immediately feel comfortable with the instructor, that's not the place.
Yeah.
It's to me, choosing an acting teacher is like choosing a therapist. And your first session in therapy, if you're on guard and you're like, I don't know if I trust this person, that's not the right therapist for you. And sometimes you have to go to a few to find the right person that is you feel safe with to then open up. Well, acting is very similar. We need to feel safe to then take risks. So do your research, look online, read the reviews. I think that's really important. And then somehow talk to the instructors. You can either audit a class, and in our studio, you can't audit. So we have something called an open house where we invite you to come out, meet us, see what we're all about. We answer the questions, but I think you have to do that. And that's where to start. Luckily, most of the information you need is online today. But you just got to sort through it and figure it out.
You still have to do the work to at least read the reviews and see. Open house, put that on the schedule. I think that's a good one. The feeling when you meet those teachers, are they someone that, you vibe with, you get along with, you have a good feeling, and then go research other ones at the same time. Like, don't commit right away. I would say then go take your time and then do it somewhere else and see. Maybe I'm not big into social media, but I'm thinking Facebook groups. Because the community around, you think that works too? Like groups of acting schools or something like that?
Well, I think talking to people who have gone through to different schools are really good. The thing about a school or a teacher that you're really looking for a teacher. You're not looking for necessarily the school. You're looking for what instructor that you can really gel with.
Yeah.
Because acting is a lot like going to therapy. And while acting class is not therapy, it's similar in so many ways because as an actor, we're learning how to take off our social masks. We're learning how to step into very vulnerable moments, but we need to do it in a very safe way. So we need to find somebody that we feel comfortable with. So that's why you need to look at that. When you talk to other students or when you're talking to an instructor, also look for the red flag of if they're talking about making you famous, that's a red flag. If they're talking about getting you into the industry quick, that's a red flag. If there's anything that has to do with speed or level of celebrity or fame, then they're just lying to you. I mean, nobody can do that in this industry. You, the actor, have to do the hard work. The training can only prepare you to do the hard work. Because we see with different, I guess, either classes or different agencies, sometimes they promise you, it's like, oh, we have connections. So if you sign with me or if you take this class, we have connections with Atlanta, New York, LA.
Yeah.
And so they're almost promising this. And there are no promises in this industry.
No, there are not.
So that ends up being a big red flag of everything is that as well.
I always think of the questions like, well, how do I then get to that point? And how you would ask the teacher that's like, okay, I'm doing the training, I'm doing the work. How would that come into your universe? Is that something that's just like, well, if you are consistently working on a project and putting it out there, you basically just have more of a statistical percentage of just being seen by somebody, your work ethic. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it is, and it's the old joke of, well, how do I get to Carnegie Hall? And it's practice, practice, practice.
Yeah,
and it's that type of thing. It's well, how do we get into the industry? And because we have a lot of potential students that they'll call us up and they'll say, once your website, everything looks really, really cool. But what I really need to know is, are you going to be able to get me an agent? And we have to say, no, it's not our job to get you an agent. And really nobody can get you an agent. It doesn't work like that. What we can do is prepare you to get an agent. And that's the difference, that when you're talking to instructors or schools or anybody, really, that's what you have to listen to. if anyone is promising you anything, it's typically an empty promise. You have to be really, really careful with that. Nobody can shortcut the process. Nobody can make you famous. And, we go back to the danger of that as we go back to the Harvey Weinsteins of the world who would make that. It'd be like, okay, who had power. And this is something that needs to change more even in the industry. Somebody of power that says, okay, listen, if you give me some favors, I can then do something for you.
It's a whole nother level.
It's a whole different level of a scam. And, is it a quid pro quo there? Yeah, it is, because someone like a Harvey Weinstein did have the power to put somebody in a movie, deservingly or undeservingly. It didn't matter to do that. But what you had to do to get there stays with you for the rest of your life. It tarnishes who you are psychologically. Those are things you need to look out for too, because that's, believe it or not, is a smaller way to do it. You don't need to do a favor for anybody in any way to get ahead in this industry. It really comes down to your talent.
Right.
It comes down to, when I say your talent, not anything that you have naturally. It's your hard work, it's your work ethic, it's your training, it's your resume, it's those type of things. The
craft, the skill of learning all of that.
Yeah.
Everything that takes time. And then people think too, like, well, how long should it take her? And it's, again, when you're talking about people promising you the quick path, it's like there's not a set amount of years, I guess, to
There's
do. You know
not
what I
a
mean?
shortcut.
There's not a shortcut.
No, we want to believe there is, because especially in American culture, we just want to get there fast.
With everything.
We live in a microwave society where, it's funny. We have this thing called microwave society where we stand in front of the microwave, something's cooking for a minute, and we're like, oh my God, would you hurry up already? It's like even a minute is too long to cook food.
Yes.
We want it now.
Yep.
And so, of course, when someone comes to me and they're like, well, how much do I have to train? I'm like, well, initially about 10 years. And immediately it's like, no. I want to, well, this other school is telling me in 6 months they can get me into the industry.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's not really true. It's not, and like there's certain schools around the country that give half truths. And the half truths are, could we get you into the industry? Meaning, could we prepare you to be into the industry in 6 months? Yes, but not where you want to be in the industry. Could you be an extra on a movie, meaning a like background? Sure. Could you maybe even have a line or two? Sure. But are you preparing yourself to be a lead or supporting in a TV show or a movie? No, you're not. That takes time. And when I say 10 years, it takes about 10 years to make a mark in the industry. It's not that you can't start working sooner, but it is going to be a longer road to get somewhere substantial. That's not going to happen quickly. But just like in anything else.
Just like I'm thinking of the Olympics is it started? Has it started or no? Not yet, but it's starting soon. I think of Simone Biles, right? When you're saying like, well, can I get a gold medal? It's like, I don't know. Like, can you work hard enough to get, can you get to that caliber of doing what the work is what it takes? Like, can I, it's just, it takes time.
And so if I decided to be in the Olympics, I'm going to,
I want to now.
Somehow they have some sort of senior Olympics, but I decide I'm going to be in the Olympics.
Senior Olympics. Sorry, that'd be
and
great.
I'm going around and saying, okay, I need to start training for something. I don't know.
Speed walking.
Speed walking. I'm going to do speed walking in the Olympics.
You could do more than speed walking.
Maybe. Let's take it slow. I don't want to break anything. But let's say I wanted, like, anyone that says, okay, I really want to reach something at a high level. And we look around and it's like, okay, I want to be an athlete. And so there are places you can go and you can train with coaches and everything else to be an athlete. And then you find something online that says, oh, and I can make you an athlete in 6 months.
Gold medal.
A professional athlete.
Yep.
Yeah, right. I can make you a gold medal winner in 6 months.
You got this.
And it's like, it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't.
And with athletics, I think we understand that.
Right.
It's like, well, I understand I can't be a professional basketball player in 6 months. I need to live it for a very long time.
Yes.
I can't go to black belt in karate in 6 months because it just doesn't work that way. And I think I think we understand. I think we have enough rationality to understand that doesn't work.
Right.
Or medical. Like, I've been thinking about being a surgeon, and they have this online correspondence course I can do in 6 months, and they'll make me a surgeon. So maybe I should do that. It's like, I don't know if anyone wants me cutting them open after doing an online correspondence in 6 months.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I want the doctor that is the most experienced, that's been doing this for a long time.
Yes.
That, right, is, a good amount of success, in the industry. That's who I want operating on me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting thing where we can look at other industries and we can understand.
Yes.
But in acting, we can't. Because the general public doesn't really understand what acting is. Where we watch it on TV or we watch it in the movies or even on stage, and it's just people being people.
Yeah,
right? It's
do
people being people. It's like, I can do that. I can pretend to be a character.
Yep.
And that doesn't look that hard.
Yep.
I'm sure if I need to cry, they'll put drops in my eyes or something. I can do that.
Yeah.
And so we don't understand the complexity of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so rationally, because it's just people pretending to be other people, or so we think, it makes sense that a 6-month course is strong enough training to get me there.
Yes.
We don't understand. It's not until you start studying acting at a deep level that you go into a conservatory and train that you really, where the veil is lifted off of the secret of acting, which is really not a big secret. It's hard work.
Because what's behind the veil, Marco?
It's 1,000 pieces 1,000 different puzzle pieces that you have to learn and navigate through. And it's one of the most difficult things that we have to do. It's so difficult to be an actor.
And to make it look effortless, easy, like you're saying on camera, wherever it is, like, oh, they're just talking.
But
and
that's
then
it.
they
Right.
have no idea of what it took to get to that level.
Yeah. Because they make it look so easy.
Because it looks so easy. It looks so, because it's so natural.
And we don't realize that, no, it took years and years and years of hard work, of training, of application of the training, typically in theater, which is why when we see new actors, they seemingly, come out of no place, right? It's like, oh my God, they came out of nowhere. Oh, they're so naturally talented. It's like, no, they've been working in theater for the past 15 years.
The overnight success.
You just don't know them.
Yeah.
You haven't run into them yet.
And that's what they all say. They're like, I love it when it's like, oh, overnight, he just showed up. It's like, no, I've been doing this for 10, 12, 15 years.
Yes.
Before all of a sudden you now know my name.
Right.
Or I had the opportunity to.
Just pretty much all of the London, Australian actors.
Crazy.
I mean,
He came out of nowhere. He just fell out of a subway and here he is. And my God, he can act.
But they're all deep level process trained. They're all theater trained. I mean, they've been working on this for easily, even the young ones, easily a decade.
Easily.
Yeah, if not more.
And the younger you can wrap your mind around that, no matter what age, I believe you can go into acting and train for acting. But the sooner you wrap your mind around that, it is like everything else, like you're saying, the athletes, the medical profession, it's just work. It's work, and it takes a long, it's a process.
It's a process that we just have to, and it's the repetition of that process over and over and over.
Yep.
To me, I look at acting like athletics.
Yeah.
I think we are an athlete when we're an actor. We're a different type of athlete. To me, we're an athlete of emotion. We're an athlete of the insides. We're an athlete of our psychology, of our psyche, of our emotions. We have to be an athlete of our physicality as far as stepping into character. We have to be an athlete of our voice. So we're an athlete of all these different parts of us we're not physically competing necessarily like external athletes do, but it's the training is just as rigorous.
Yes. It is rigorous. The stamina to have, like when you need the stamina, that's another whole journey. It's training every day. And I think of the Olympics again for 4 years. It's, every 4 years. And what do you think they're doing for those 4 years? They're not taking a nap and going to
Man,
Bora
Olympic
Bora.
athletes? Wow.
Like the amount of time that they're doing to train for that one,
Yeah.
it's just incredible.
It's magical.
It's magical.
And when we see actors train at that same level, it's magical.
It's magical.
The
The
performance. Oh man, it's so good. So that's what, so when you're looking for a class, be careful of the quick classes. Be careful of anyone that's promising you to get you there faster. That doesn't apply. There's a lot of that in the American culture. We have a lot of the faster classes because they're easier to sell. So you can do that. Versus a conservatory is more like a school you have to enroll in, and you're there for a long time. I mean, we train actors anywhere, from typically 3 to 5 years.
Is that what a conservatory is? Can you explain that a little bit?
The definition of a conservatory is a focused area of study in an art form. The most popular conservatories in the U.S. are music conservatories. They're more prominent than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other artistic conservatories and acting conservatories. And all it means is that the focus of study is that art form over a longer period of time. And so Juilliard, for example. Now, Juilliard is music and dance, and it's not just acting,
right?
But it has an acting branch to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one that is probably the most popular that people bring up is Juilliard. But they're a conservatory. You go there and study for 3-4 years, sometimes longer, and that's all you're doing.
Yeah, from 8 a.m. to God knows how long at night, and after that probably rehearsals, but you're there full time, all day, all that stuff. Yeah,
you dedicate your life to it, and you spend 6 figures doing it easily. So when we started Truthful, that was the other thing that Rob and I had talked about is there a way we can start a school for training for actors? One, we wanted to do it here in Orlando because neither one of us had any desire to move to LA or anywhere else, really. So it's like, how do we create something here in Orlando, but we want to make it affordable because we don't want to, and we had people, I still have people talk to us, talk to me and say, well, why do you charge so little? Like industry people saying you should really be the most expensive game in town, not the least expensive. And I look at that and I go back to what Rob and I initially talked about was we struggled financially navigating the industry and training and everything else. And when you go to some of the bigger conservatories, you take financial aid, you take loans.
Yep.
Then you're paying off loans as an actor, which is very difficult to do. I mean, an artist, you don't want to be
moron.
Yeah, you don't want to be paying off loans as an artist.
Oh.
So we always said, no, you know what? We're gonna keep it as low as we can, so it's affordable for students. So once they're done, they're not paying off loans afterwards. That was one of our core philosophies of doing that and bringing. But we also wanted to have a school that covered everything that you needed to work on as an actor.
Yeah.
Because before we decided to do that as an actor in Central Florida, anyway, you could only study here for a year or so, like a little bit, and then you had to move to New York. You had to move to Chicago. You had to move to LA to get any sort of deeper training.
Yes.
And it was like, well, I don't want to move to LA. So no one wants to move, I mean, not no one, but I mean, like not everyone has that desire to uproot and move in that direction. And so that was one of our things too, is like, no, we're going to create a conservatory right here where everyone can affordably get what they want.
And students of yours and Rob's have been coming to Truthful from both sides of our coast, if you will.
Yeah.
The west side, the east side of, Tampa, and I'm talking Melbourne and up, but they travel. That's not a short trip to be driving. We don't have a subway system here yet. Anyway, the monorail, whatever it is, monorail, whatever it's called, that's going up there. But people come from pretty far places to come and train with you guys and take lessons because people are looking for deep training. And I guess what's out there currently is just not here in, let's say, Central Florida. It's just not there. And I've even heard people who did go to LA and say, in comparison to LA classes and to here, it said we train the way Marco and Rob teach. are much better teachers, and we have much more. We have an experience that's better than the classes over there comparatively, which is incredible. I think that's amazing. So it's a blessing what you guys did.
It's very flattering and I guess validating to, when our students that go to LA and New York tell us that. It's like, wow, and especially in LA where they'll say there's just nothing out here like what we do at Truthful. And it's like, well, that's what we've aimed to do. But it's flattering. It's like, well, it's great.
Incredible. And then you've had them for years. Like come back and train more. And that's another thing about it too. It's like there is no end to it, I believe, to training. I think that you'll always be working with it's a coach or somebody eventually that you'll kind of like touch back with or touch base with again to say, I'm working on a part here and can I reach out to you or hire you for, just a couple of sessions so I can just feel a little bit more comfortable instead of it's just a nice thing to have that the relationships that you have and you trust someone and you're like, I have this opportunity and this is what I want to work. So it's just, you don't stop being a student is what I mean. And
never. Not as
right?
an artist.
Not as an artist. And not as a medical professional too. They're always getting,
you're right.
Getting refreshed.
Not as anything. You
always do. You just, you're right about people think that the actors, it's so easy. And once you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
But it's, you always do. You stretch it out. You come back. It's something that I'm content with and happy with. But there is a mindset, I think, if you are always a student, that it just opens more things up for you.
So, if you're looking for a class, anywhere that you are, anywhere in the world, really, just make sure you connect with the instructor. That's the most important thing. And we, if you think back over your education of your life, there are certain teachers that stand out. So I would make a list of why did they stand out? How did they treat you? What was it about them that stood out? And if those were the ones you learned the best from, find an acting coach that has those similar qualities, because everyone learns differently. Like not everyone that walks through our door, like at an open house, is right for our studio. Because some people learn differently or have different philosophies, or they're looking for different things, and that's okay. Because we go deep into a process. Not everyone's looking to do that. So it's important that even as an instructor, it's important that I'm able to gel with the students and they're able to gel with me, and it works in kind of like this symbiotic way. Mm-hmm. That's the way we grow together. Because I'm learning every day as well. I try to. And so when you're looking for a school or a class or anything, make sure you, I guess, adhere to the philosophies of whoever's teaching it and try to find somebody who's passionate about teaching. Unfortunately, there's many, and it's just not just our industry, it's every industry. There's people who are just, for whatever reason, they're teaching, but not because they love teaching.
Yeah.
I think because they don't know what else to do, so they're teaching.
Yeah.
So you want to find someone that enjoys teaching, that loves teaching, because then you'll get so much more out of it as well.
Yeah.
But avoid anyone that's promising you anything. That's what a lot of it's funny. We have other schools, we'll just say, that will, we're constantly under attack from other places. And I say attack, I don't even listen to it, but I have students that say, oh, did you hear that this person said this and this person said that? I'm like, no, I don't listen to it. Because we believe in what we're doing. But really the main thing they have is that, oh, you don't need that deep philosophy. You don't need that deep training. We'll get you there faster. And it's like, well, that's the red flag. Mm-hmm. That's it right there.
Yeah.
Listen, train in multiple schools, train in multiple areas, train with multiple instructors. I think that's important. Get so much information from all different areas, see what works for you as the artist, and then that's what you actually as an artist develop your own process in the end.
Yes.
You're not using someone else's process. You're learning stuff and you're learning a process through the arts, but then you ended up developing really like what we do is we'll give you what we call tools. It's like you have a tool belt and you have the screwdriver and the hammer and the wrench and we're giving you all the tools. You have to decide what tool to use when and how you use it in your own way. And as an actor, that's what you do. So you learn as much as you possibly can. You try new things. You even develop your own tools sometimes.
Yeah.
And then, then you have your, it's like all these big A-list actors, they've developed their own process at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Each one individually does their own thing. And that's kind of the journey of the artist.
Yes.
You develop. Now, you're a dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Did you develop, how did that, talking about the same thing, how did that work in dance? Is it the same type of thing where you have to learn how to dance and then figure it out?
For me, it was. So I wasn't traditionally trained. I had training young, but then very quickly, not too far from that training, a couple years later, we just stopped. We couldn't afford anything. So that's when we moved to Florida, all that stuff. So I always had a love and wanting to express myself through dance. And I would do things throughout my childhood and teenagehood and adulthood that would just get me close to a dancer, just get me however I could do it. So I always consider myself self-trained.
Okay.
That with voice also. Like you do things as a singer, you chorus or here and there, but like when it's time to go in different places, you do your best with what you have. So it's like that's all it is. So you put together what you have, and then when you get to a place of study with a teacher, when you have that like gift of having someone teaching you these techniques and the basics of it all, man, does it give you the groundedness that one was missing, that I was missing. So I was able to, let's say, skirt my way around dancing and slip through. And like I was a belly dancer for quite some time, but it came easier to me quickly. But then you couldn't compare me to a ballerina because I didn't have the steps. It was.
Right.
So anyways, I just was blessed enough that I could get past. But when I did take classes, I'm taking classes now, dance classes now. When I had classes with you as an actor, it's like you can only go so far. You want that depth of training, and then you literally grow from there. And I was thinking about the conversations that we're having on this podcast, and I had this image of like these Empire State Buildings or the structures, skyscrapers, right?
Yeah.
They're going up to the heavens, the clouds, but they actually start down. The base of it all is actually all the way down, just like into the ground built. So it's something that happens. So please out there, whoever, has a dream to train as a actor, singer, dancer, all three, whatever it is, find a teacher, find someone who you can respect, that you vibe with, you gel with, and get that basic training, ground yourself into the basics. And then from there, you're able to have the freedom that you want to, that we all want to, artistic freedom and expression, to not be thinking about the next step, but moving into it, not be thinking about the next line, but it's there. And you need that. We all need that. And when we don't have that basis, it's like you're getting along just so far with what you have when you can go so much further.
Oh, that's beautiful. I was also, it's not just in this industry, it's in every industry.
In every industry.
Because I'm thinking of your amazing specimen of a husband. And he started kind of at the ground floor.
Yes.
And worked his way all the way to where he's the head of a very, very popular restaurant here in Orlando. I mean, he runs the whole thing. It's his restaurant. But he started at the bottom. And so there wasn't a 6-week course that he took to be like, how do I be a GM? It's like, no. You work and work and work and work and work.
Yes.
And you do amazing work and you treat people well. I mean, he's so nice.
Yes.
For as big as he is, and he's like, he can be intimidating, but oh my God, so gentle, so nice, treats people so well. And no wonder he's so popular. No wonder everything that he does.
But it's like what you were saying about you and Rob having the experience of being on the other side and being a struggling actor and being all that before, knowing how it feels, that you decided to do this together as a partnership, and as for us as the actors. For my husband, he knows what it is to be a bus boy. He knows all that. He knows all of it, and it started from the bottom. And he has so much respect for every single person that works inside of that building. Would he have had it if he had not had that experience? I don't know. I would like to think so, yes. But I think that that's what counts. Like, you can work through and up towards whatever your goals are, your desires are. And on a sidebar, he even says he thinks that hospitality degrees are a waste of time. He says, come work with me, come work for me, and I'll get you where you need to go.
Started without it.
Without knowing English. Without it.
Right. I mean, it was just hard work.
Hard work.
And he worked himself all the way to the top. And
Yep.
now it's one of the most successful restaurants here in Central
It is.
Florida.
And I want to say even like the brand throughout the entire country, believe it or not. But he also had mentors that were there that
Yes.
saw him, his work ethic, and they were there helping him, training him, teaching him. So there was, it's like that, you need this to have that,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the work ethic is huge.
So hard work is a big part of it. Long-term work is a big part of it. Learn from those who have come before you. But another important thing is turn around, anything you learn, turn around and give it to somebody else.
Yes.
Don't gatekeep information. So even, I tell the students that come to our studio, it's like, listen, I know you're spending money, you're coming here and I'm giving you this information, but if you're on set and someone's struggling, give them the information.
Yes.
Help anyone that comes after you.
Amen.
Learn from those that come before you, help those who come after you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we coexist as artists.
Absolutely.
I love doing like this. We were here doing this podcast now. I do webinars that are free. I like to do like free hour-long sessions of webinars and stuff. And again, people are saying, well, why are you charging for that? I'm like, there's some information I just don't believe that should be charged for.
Yes.
So there needs to be a place where someone who's just starting out or doesn't have the means or any of that,
Yes.
there needs to be a place where someone can go just to get that information.
Mm-hmm.
And I always said that if I was in a position to just give away information, I would do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in that position. So it's like, why would I
Right.
be greedy?
Right.
As an artist, it's not about that. It's about helping other artists.
And as a human, I would hope it's not about that. It's about helping others, but they coexist. They're also the same thing. Like a great artist, I think, is a great human being, and vice versa.
That's beautiful. So real quickly, because we're almost out of time. Man, it just goes so fast when we sit down and start talking. Because I know we were talking about red flags. And of course, the biggest one, right, if they're asking for money up front, if it's not something that is a service, right? If you're buying a service, it's one thing, but agencies should not ask for money up front. They should not be steering you towards a single headshot photographer or anything else. That's a big one. These big organizations that are asking for a lot of money to come to their events, please don't do those. Another scam that goes around is, believe it or not, you'll be contacted typically through social media. You'll be contacted and they'll say, hey, I saw your pictures online. I really want to use you to represent something, whatever. I want to use your pictures for something and we're going to pay you for it. And that's a scam. Because what happens is, and there's a couple different versions of this. The biggest version going around is, I saw your pictures. I want to use your pictures. Is it okay? I'm going to I'm going to draw them or something. I don't know. But they're going to use them for something. And then they're going to pay you for it. But the thing is, they don't actually pay you to do anything. They're going to end up asking for your bank account information, and then they're going to take your money. There's another one where it looks like it's a legitimate company, and they're representing like big companies like Dove and Pepsi and like big ones. And they'll pretend to be from an ad agency that represents that company. So they're going to use a name that is actually associated with the ad agency from that. So you have to really look at the email addresses it comes from. And if it comes from a Gmail, it's not legitimate. If it comes from like a weird, it's like, no, if it's coming from an ad agency, you can get to that ad agency. But what they'll do is they'll say, hey, I have a shoot I want you to be on. It's like a modeling shoot. And we're going to pay you $4,500 for a day to be on this shoot. And I'm actually going to send you travel money up front. I'm going to send you $400 of travel money to cover your expenses to come here. It sounds great. It's like, well, how is that a scam? They're sending me money. They never actually send you the money. They can't. They have trouble sending it. They can't wire it. They can't do this. They can't do that. So it's like, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to need to do it this way. I need this information from you. And then Oh.
aka bank accounts, social, anything.
Do not give out your social. Do not give out your bank account information. Do not listen. Nothing falls from the sky. It doesn't work that way.
No.
So these things, because I have students that will come to me and says, "Is this legitimate?" And I read through it, and there's just red flag, red flag, red flag. If they're going to give you money up, nobody gives anyone money up front in this industry. It's hard enough to get paid. Nobody gives anyone money up front. You, as an actor, we do the job, then we get paid, hopefully in 90 to 120 days. That's about the time frame of passing the money through. Nobody is giving you money up front for anything. So look for that. Nobody's offering you a job that's paying really well just out of nowhere. That doesn't happen. Nobody's contacting you off of social media and saying, "Hey, I like your page. I want to put you in a movie." It doesn't work that way.
No.
There's going to be a casting process. There's going to be something else. So be very, very careful. We're very ambitious as actors. We want the opportunities. And so we're always hopeful somebody is going to, quote unquote, like find us or recognize us.
Yep.
Yeah, discover us. And they're going to discover you through your hard work, through the projects that you do, through your resume, through your auditioning. That's what really matters. So just be really, really careful. I'd wanted to talk about, I guess, how to keep safe on. Oh, we'll do that. I guess that's a whole different one. We're gonna do that separately. This was red flags and where to train and all of that.
Can I add, like, if the place says no, come alone. We just want you, whatever. Like, bring a buddy.
Oh, and that's a good one. You could always bring someone with you. I mean, that is so important. You can bring someone with you to a casting. You can bring someone with you to a callback or really anywhere.
Anywhere. They should not have a problem with any of that. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, she can whatever in the lobby, absolutely. But if you hear like, no, it's a red flag.
Yes.
That and if they're pressuring you to sign any legal paperwork, do not sign, because anybody that has a contract that's legitimate would say, take it to your lawyer.
Right.
Go ahead and no problem.
Yeah, everyone's got the legitimate agents or anyone else is going to give you some time to review the documents.
Yes.
Don't ever be pressured. And if they ever pull let me talk to my producer or let me talk to my, like if you're on the phone and it's high pressure, it's an immediate scam.
Immediate.
So be safe. If you're not sure if something's a scam or not, and you want us to help you review it, please, you can go ahead and reach out to us and email. You can do it through Truthful Acting. So just go to our website. You can go to the contact page. You can contact us, email us, send us anything and say, "Hey, I was contacted by this person. This is what they sent me. What do you think?" We'll be happy to review it for you and help you navigate the industry.
How sweet. How awesome.
Well, that is all the time we have. Time flies, Nat.
It does fly when you're having a good time.
But we will be back again soon with you. But until then, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening, as always. And please remember, treat yourself with kindness and reward yourself for the risks that you take.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
If you'd like to learn more about our studio and what we do, you can find us online at truthfulacting.com. And check out truthfulactingonline.com for our Learn at Home at Your Own Pace courses.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
I know what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to free your mind, but I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.